Welcome everyone to an Apple Worldwide Developer Conference. One more thing update. Apple finally announced the Vision Pro, their take to AR glasses. Long delayed, long rumored, long overdue, and at a hefty price for $3,499 freaking US dollars. And long story short, I think they will fail dramatically, and we don't actually need to it will not be a 30-minute technical video, because for the reason people, like all the other 3D headsets, glasses and whatnot, usually failed because people don't want to freaking run around the whole day, half of the day, or even some hours with such glasses. Then of course is the price point, right? If it would be $9.99, families could buy that for some FaceTiming, which, by the way, half of the presentation is a little bit silly in my opinion. You need to be billionaire to buy a $3,499 thing for FaceTiming and watching photos and your website. So at in my opinion, at $3,499 US dollars, it is only for millionaires, or at least otherwise very, very, very rich people. Because other people, for this money, they want to make a holiday, they want to buy a car, maybe save for an apartment or a house, and so on, right? And then of course all the other stuff, people don't want to sit isolated, right? People already sit too isolated most of the day, so they want to socialize with people and so on. And at least with an iPhone, I mean, seriously, most people are already annoyed, although even if they are social media addicted and they sit in buses, subways, heck, even as passenger in a car, some people even dangerously driving a car, most people are already severely digitally consumption addicted, in my opinion. And why most people, similar to smoking, have it very hard to get away from the social media and doom scrolling addiction, like sometimes even myself, people certainly don't want to have more of that, and certainly not for $3,500 US dollar. If it would be $9.99, as I said, it would still, well, being Apple, okay, let's talk $1,999. Even at $1,000, like if it's superior quality, and of course technically yes, it has an M2 processor, yes, it has a new R1 processor for reality, mixed reality processing, video camera processing. Yes, they improved some things. Certainly it has better thermals, is more comfortable, but that is also the thing, right? Even if it's twice as comfortable as existing gaming headsets, it will still be uncomfortable, right? Maybe it's fine for 10 minutes, maybe it is okay for 20 minutes, but no matter how amazing it is for $3,500, it will not be super amazing for 30, 40, 50, heck, an hour or two sitting with this in school, at work, like, it's like, no. I mean, and then then the point. So the price and the comfort is killing it, right? And the isolation. Yes, they have transparent display and camera assistant, augmented reality display and stuff, so other people can see you and you can see them and stuff. Of course, it is Apple being Apple. It is of course an excellent execution of an artificial mixed reality headset, but the truth is, it's not amazing for all the stuff they show you, right? You could argue, like even myself, I have a projector. We don't have a TV at home because for 20 years I don't have a TV, but we have in the meantime, full HD projector that for sometimes, like now with a kid, not that often, but like probably soon when the kid is tall and stuff, sometimes watch a movie, right? But this projector probably was $4.99 or so, like we have it for, I don't know, 7 or 8 years already. Like probably in the meantime you get a 4K projector at that price, right? If you want to watch movie. And then the thing is, sure, it could be for some movie nerds, like if you watch your Star Trek or Avatar or all the other movies, but not at $3,500 freaking US dollar, right? And then it's the issue, like you only have one, and then you have a family, like, or even if you don't have a family, only significant other. Like, you need freaking two to sit there with your partner. It's like, sure, for those people who earn 100,000 a year or 1 million and sit freaking alone in their lonely apartment, sure, they can watch a movie with this. This, to me, it looks a little bit like Apple needs to innovate something. Like, obviously they spent billions on the development, all the custom ASICs, high-end displays, I think 24 million or whatever, don't quote me on the pixels. Of course they multiply this with 2 because 2 displays. Of course it is a very high quality execution of Apple, usually at least sometimes trying to perfecting stuff what others have already done. But it's a freaking expensive toy that, in my opinion, will not be very usable for much. Because the stuff they show you also, right, this UI stuff, yes, it looks like from some science fiction movies, yes, it looks like Microsoft has done years ago, not in this quality, not in this fidelity, not in this transparent mixed reality stuff, but it's not like entirely new. I think there was even some Sun or whatever Looking Glass Project 15 or whatever years ago. Yes, it was not with 3D headsets and whatnot, but yeah, there were 3D desktops is my point. And the problem is, I don't see that being particularly useful. And I have tried, believe it or not, I have tried 3D displays. Probably the first 3D display things that I tried was probably very, very long time ago, like in 1998 or something on the CeBIT trade show, when it probably was 300 by 200 pixels or whatever. I even used an SJ02 on the CeBIT trade show. They had their, I remember there was Silicon Graphics partner booth, probably with some university or something, where you could, I even tried this 3D operation stuff like 20 freaking years ago, before I had my own SJ02. Whatever the resolution was, maybe the resolution was high-end 640 by 480, I don't know, something of that sort. But of course, for 20 years ago, it looked amazing. But so my point being, it is not super entirely new. And because for 20 years, people found, even gaming, right? How many gamers, raise your hand, comment below, how many have some kind of 3D headset? I was considering it, but given the heat, like you use it longer than 20 minutes, stuff gets warm, you sweat, it's pressing and so on. And you see, I tried this. I was actually, some years ago, I was actually like 5 years or so, I was actually considering, like, should we move a little bit more into 3D with my company and do some 3D stuff? But like, I tried it. Sure, it looked nice on paper, on specification, but it was not nice to use. And that was for whatever, $500, $699 or whatever that Valve and all the other headsets of John Carmack's famous stuff are. And so this interface, right? Sure, it looks nice in this Photoshop here, in this render, but I don't see this being particularly useful, right? Like, how do you want to use it? Like, how you shed out $3,500 for this very fancy overpriced headset thing, or maybe not that overpriced for what it is, but anyway, like basically for a freaking computer. And like how do you want to work efficiently? Like how everything is cumbersome, right? Like similar to an iPhone or iPad in the early days, where everything you didn't even have undo, you didn't have copy and paste. Sure, you probably have undo and copy and paste here, but just like, how do you like write a Word document or, excuse me, Pages document? How do you work with a numbers spreadsheet, right? How do you write an email? Except, hey, of course, hey, by the way, hey is not optional. So Siri or computer, open an email, like only with voice, right? And then it's the next thing in the family. Like, even if everything is fine, I mean, obviously you're not like gesturing around or plugging a USB keyboard or so. And then everything is speech. And so I'm also an early adopter of voice recognition. I made even 2 videos in the early days of my YouTube, like 4 years ago. I made one VIA voice, IBM VIA voice of my original, still in the office library there, that I used on a 200 megahertz or so IDT WinChip 2 or something of that sort, maybe even on my 120 megahertz Pentium, or something of that sort. It was usable 20 years ago, was not amazing. Later I tried Dragon, naturally speaking. Full disclosure, I got it for free on the CeBIT trade show, being a software guy and stuff, and you know, people, and it's like, hey, here's this $500 or whatever, naturally speaking, for you, have fun with it. Like, thank you very much, it's still standing in my office library. Of course, it was like a magnitude better. than the then 15-year-old or so IBM VIA voice, naturally speaking, but it was still not amazing. Of course, nowadays, of course, Siri, Google Assistant, and other voice dictations, also Louis Rossman's billionaire-founded local device running voice recognition, allegedly maybe open source stuff or whatever, of course, is way better. But not only is it not error-free, I tried it, Siri and other stuff, it still makes mistakes. You still go there and edit and stuff. Or a verse, like I sometimes, even 1 to 3 years ago, sometimes use Siri. And so often, like I fix something, I send it, and the next days or in the reply, I see, darn, why did I not fix this glaring mistakes that Siri did there? And the other thing is, if you sit in a company, in an office here, with 1, 2, 3, 4 people, like not everyone can talk the whole time with the computer, right? This is probably the number one reason why speech recognition, beside a little bit on the go, hey, message my wife and stuff, sure, but not productively in an office, no matter cubicles or not, whatever, or even in a family, right? You and your partner and kids and stuff, all sitting with voice in the future, like in Star Trek Enterprise. And hey, have you watched Star Trek Enterprise and stuff? They also don't constantly talk with their computer, right? They also tibbly tap away there on their LCARS interface. So with this stuff, sure, it is, in my opinion, to sum it up, in my opinion, it is a very, very, very expensive toy. Sure, this might be the early adopters app developer edition, which probably, spoiler alert, you can write apps for that then. And also I read somewhere, I'm not sure if they said it or read it in some frame, but it sounds like in the beginning it might be USA retail only. I have not followed it up. It would be really annoying, because I remember when the first iPhone was new, it was also US only, and it really is a finger for international developers, right? I remember I personally, when I was on a business trip in Florida, when the iPhone was not yet in Germany, I brought that too, and waited some months until there was a net unlock. And then I and my brother were one of the first iPhone users in Germany. And for app developers also, right? In the beginning, you could, like, we could not even register as app developer, right? And submit. This is really, I really hate this extremely from American corporations, hindering international developers, like what should we do? Move all to the USA to be the first, like, early adopters of stuff. Anyway, but whether it sales internationally or not, it's only a store thing or whatever. Just tiny anecdote at the side. But yeah, so this is how they think people should sit around with this stuff, right? And honestly, this is a silly, right? This is a over expensive, like, it's not like you sit like this and like work or message. Like, they also have here, sure, movie, as I said, if you're an extreme movie lover, maybe it is some option for you to watch movies, but then you watch them alone, right? Unless you sit together like this. And then they have your FaceTime and stuff here somewhere. It's like seriously, like you, even like if you work productively normally, and then your child calls and then you put it on or what? It's like then they have some work setup. It's like, you can't tell me that you can work efficiently like this. I mean, I already, like, from an iPad, like answering. Yes, I have an iPad. I had the first iPad. I don't have many iPads. Probably I had in total 3 iPads. The first, some mini, not yet high risk, so not Retina mini, early adapter, and then some other. I never used them much, right? They are company property. We brought them for some testing and stuff. Like, nobody was really productive with this stuff. And sure, you can adapt to this. I'm aware, like, if you're a student and stuff, you can be also 10 years later, right? How neglected always was the iPad OS of not having features and being amazing. Sure, some people can be productive, but like even the keyboard, like then you need a keyboard, then you're a price of a price and weight and physical size nearly of a MacBook Air or something. And then the keyboard is not as good, right? Then you're still 20% slower with membrane keyboard thing or whatever. And then like, why do you have an iPad when at the end for working efficiently and writing an email you anyway need a keyboard? So my point is, I don't see, like, similar to an iPad where like I'm an order of magnitude less efficient because you can't multitask as amazing. Everything is so limited, everything is so walled garden, you can't like, sure, I'm a power user, but nah, it is what it is. I'm a power user. It's like, if you don't want to be efficient, then get the stuff probably. So like I don't see it. Sure, you can always, for investors, like, hey, here's this pretty stuff and pretty render and this is our vision and stuff, but I don't see the vision. And I can see this. I can see some things, for example, assembly lines, right? Car assembly lines, airplane assembly lines, although do they really need it there? Or like servers, like field technician, like airplane servers, other machinery, like DRM log, John Deere tractors and stuff. Sure, some signs, I can see some signs, right? Some 3D modeling, but my point is it's not for everyone, right? There could be some, like what I've seen 20 years ago at the CeBIT on the SGI02 medical stuff. Not sure if that is so production ready and reliable. Like, would you really do operations on humans like they have shown 20 years ago on the SGI02? Would you really do this with that? And then you get a firmware update, or you have the usual Apple hashtag peak bugs. Leave in the comments below, yeah, some of this stuff, some science, some data visualization, but then everyone needs this. And they showed here one last thing probably. I'm so annoyed. I have obviously running a business, not only trying to sell my unsuccessful tiny little open source Linux here, but obviously I'm aware of business calls and meetings and stuff, which I avoid like the plug. But what I noticed is that I, of course, have here high-end equipment, right? I have here a 4K Panasonic Lumix camera. I have here three, like my tiny little unsuccessful company has, like I have even a second camera, right? I have even a second Sony camera for B-roll. My point is, my tiny little company has, in each freaking meeting, we have the best video and audio equipment, right? And I could name some companies. They start with A, they start with K, they start with F, they started with P, probably, hey, another company that starts with A. My point is, everyone has freaking shitting Bluetooth keywords, right? I recently tried to make one video from home because I'm a professional. Of course, I left my 2 professional Lavalier mix in the freaking office because obviously obviously I didn't take one home. And I didn't have my wired headset. I was like, 2023, 2 years through a freaking pandemic, and all major companies have the most garbage, $29 freaking or so Bluetooth shit things. And I think even the highest, I need to research that, but the Nothing Ear 2 was not amazing. I don't know, maybe I should, for reference, shed all the money and buy an Apple AirPod. Not really into giving Apple money. My point is, companies don't even give their freaking employees, even Fortune 500 companies, they don't give their people proper conferencing audio and video gear, right? It is so ridiculous. Of course, it can continue like this, and we stand out here as having the most audio. It's like, yeah, maybe I'm a YouTuber, but my point is, it could be amazing conference thing. But most company, my point is, even Fortune 500 companies, sure. Steve Jobs, may he rest in peace, and what is Tim Apple? They might get one, but don't tell me each normal, like even Apple is too cheap to give all their people a Apple Vision Pro for conference meetings, right? I'm not seeing like regular companies issuing a Vision Pro for conference. And for that, it is of course freaking expensive, right? If it would be $499, Volkswagen might be talking. But for $999, probably Boeing would think twice. For $1,999, I think most companies would show their companies, their employees a finger. If a employee comes, hey, boss, I found this amazing conferencing. It's only 1,999. It's like, there's a door, get out of here. But for 3,499, even the richest, as I said, one for Steve Jobs, one for Tim Apple, probably one for Elon. I mean, even Elon Musk fired his people and terminated the rent contract there for their office or stuff. Even he will probably not buy one for conference meetings. It's like maybe for some SpaceX data visualization. Anyway, I think this thing is pretty dead in the water. I don't see it. It is a nice technology demonstration. Of course, Apple needs to innovate. Of course, Apple needs to try things, and I applaud Apple for trying something. Although they are of course late, right? Valve had stuff, Sony had stuff. Yes, it was for gaming, but they had stuff. Microsoft had whatever the name of that stuff was. I mean, everything failed so much. I don't even remember the Microsoft glasses, whatever. Leave in the comments below. And even Google had glasses, right? Which of course also failed because it was like running around with this. It was creepy, and of course it was it nearly a decade ago, or at least 8 years ago, or a long time ago. And yeah, I'm not seeing it. Of course, companies need to try people, but Apple should have known better. I mean, maybe it is with Apple's failing car, between Apple's failing car projects and Apple's now failing AR projects, maybe they need to catch and pull every straw they find there. Maybe they have no other idea. Maybe it will be successful, but not at 3,499. I would say it would, even like inflation aside and stuff, like in today's money, 2023, I think it would not even be successful for 1,999. Maybe it would eventually be successful for 999, but it's not like the iPhone price. It's like, okay, for this you get an iPhone. For 999, it probably could be successful. It certainly has quite some years for this price to come down that much. Maybe they cut some features like non-transparency and whatnot of Apple Vision Non-Pro, of Apple Vision Air with non-transparent display and no camera or stuff. Yeah, for 999, it certainly is a more viable entertainment for airplane flights. Maybe, I mean, even for 999, I don't see the entertainment at home, because usually, as I said, people don't sit alone and watch a movie. But yeah, leave in the comments below. That's basically the summary that got a little bit longer than, hey, only 23 minutes. It's like, yeah, here's this FaceTime. It's like, you don't FaceTime. Like, I mean, you don't need to spend $3,400. Like, if you want to see your child, like, you can, like, it's, how much was this Nothing phone even? 350? I forgot. I'm so cheap. Nothing phone price. What even was the freaking price of this? Three something. What is even by now? Nothing tech. Price 470 euro. What did I say? 470. Did I say 350? Okay, I was 100 euro off. It's like, this is freaking enough for me, and for most people, like for all people. And as I outlined already, enough people don't want to have this in front of, like what future is it even to sit all day with that? And also then the rich people who can afford it, they don't want to sweat on the face. They don't want to have, like, you sit 20 minutes and you probably have some press marks. Like, don't tell me this models want to go on the street and then they first need a face massage to get this pressed in skin in order again, stuff. Is there anything more? It's like, yeah, basically stuff like, yeah, it's like panorama photos. It's like, oh god, they had no use case. They had to make this nonsense up. I don't know. I probably should better check. Like, is there anything else of value? Yeah, you can see your kids. It's like you can also see your kids with this, and it's $3,000 cheaper. Yeah, it's a nice 3D. It's like, yeah, for 999. It's like, not for 3. Yes, I get it. It's early adopters developers and stuff, but hey, even for $1.99, I'm not seeing it. Besides, we should also discuss another live stream, because this one is too long already. The greater, like, other science fiction novels, right? The greater influence to society. The society is now already social media addicted. The next generation of kids is already totally fake news and social media irritated. I read in news articles and hear some from some friends. I would, now having the first child, I would not let my kid have so much social media or even phone and video entertainment, right? And they get addicted rather quickly. We made the mistake in the pandemic to sometimes when he was 1 or maybe 2 to show him, to start showing. It's like not like, I would say we showed our child already significantly less video on smartphones and stuff than probably others, because we have seen other people. I find this so crazy. People also, I mean, okay, I can understand people are stressed and burnt out, and it's their last resort of giving a child just a phone or iPad, like the 2-year-old child. I mean, it dies in me when I see that, right? I saw other parents, like we have never done, for example, what we have never done, 1 or 2 years old, outside in a kids wagon there, and like other people give it the phone to freaking entertain on the freaking street outside. Like what is wrong with you? Or even I've seen people giving them wave sounds. It's like with 1 or 2 year old, like, can they not listen to the wind and birds and stuff? It's like, do they already need to have artificial entertainment with 1 or 2 years old? It's like mind blown. But yeah, our kid is not iPhone or smartphone free, and even as little as hopefully less than average, probably still too much. Probably, hey, there was also a pandemic. But yeah, it's sometimes the kids then don't want to eat without phone or do other stuff without phone. It's like you need. I would give the advice not to start with it as late as possible, as little as possible, and it's like that is not the vision of as little as possible, right? This is between your work and your iPhone use. Get additionally a helmet on and escape into some Star Trek holodeck world of other entertainment. And I would also say, certainly not all, but many people, at least I heard, friends and family, after 2 years in a pandemic, want to get more back to nature, or got more back to nature, right? When you couldn't meet with people, couldn't travel and stuff. And this is probably maybe the worst time for Apple to introduce it, no matter the price and stuff, because, correct me if I'm wrong, but my impression is that more and more people realize that so much digital entertainment is too much and not healthy, and they rather want to get some, at least a little bit, like if it's working, like walking through the park, at least like whatever you could do in your Central Park or stuff like that. Anyway, leave in the comments below. So I don't see that there. Of course, US company being a US company, of course they instantly need Disney Entertainment. By the way, I noticed some recently. Our child, the first time, saw some Norbit 3, some Tom and Jerry, which I obviously also watched when I was a child, and only know that as parent I realized, like, I thought, like, this is way too violent for, I understand it's comic and stuff, but after such videos of, yes, it's only a cat and a mouse hunting each other and stuff, they obviously copy that, right? Like what, I would also, another pro tip, like one more thing, and then we end this live stream after looking at the comments. Don't even start, as probably there are better Disney movies, and that was a vintage Disney movie that scrolled by pure chance on YouTube. But I would not let my kid, and would probably recommend you not to show such stuff, at least in this age, to your child, because I noticed, obviously as a parent on playgrounds and stuff, and with other kids and birthday parties, you notice that some kids, obviously every kid behaves different, right? And there probably is also an influence, like if you show them as innocent as it might be, Tom and Jerry, like even with freaking knife, like in this vintage movies, right? Like hunting with knives and throwing knives and whatnot. I fast forwarded quickly and got something else. So recommendation, all this, like even animated violence might not be the best entertainment for you kids in the early lives, but yeah. Anyway, so yeah, leave in the comments below. I'm not even sure if they showed gaming here. Maybe they did. By the way, do we still have 0 because this doesn't load or whatever. Yeah, let's take a look at the comments. So I don't see this as a future. This is not the future I'm particularly interested in. Let's see what comments we have. Some people watching. Yeah, NetBSD toaster 3500. Haha, it's that will fail miserable. Yeah, people agreeing. Wouldn't understand the power status symbol. Look, women's shoes industry, comfort not a factor. But for the game and entertainment, it is big. Says David Lev. I don't see this big, like all the gaming stuff was not successful, right? Probably as I outlined, comfort and price. So I don't see this being big, right? If it would be $9.99 and maybe in 5 years it will be, but at this price it will not be big. Who knows? There is an Apple sucker born every minute. Yeah, but they are born not rich, right? And after the pandemic and all this job cutting and all this war in Europe and surrounding energy crisis and environmental crisis, people have, and all the inflation, people currently have less money than they had before, like newspaper, more millionaires, more billionaires, less income for normal people. And even Apple fans, like even diehard Apple fans who pay $999 for an iPhone, will not pay $3,500. They get a freaking good used car for that, right? And that is why, in my opinion, at this price point it will fail. And even at $999, I would be skeptical for the reasons outlined in the last 20 minutes. Comfort, isolation, and practicality. Even at $999, I would not think it will be a massively selling hit like the iPhone, because for that reasons. Solon Bono writes, Apple fans are very eager to invest into Apple gear. That might be, but basically everything else is more practical, right? NetBSD Toaster writes, no games, no apps. I think there will be apps. At least that is what I understood. Yeah, David Lev also writes movies. I said movies, but again, do you want to watch movies? Again, for extreme movie nerds, maybe, but how many are there, right? As I said, not even, it's like, how do you, like, except your family needs a discounted pack of 4 to watch a movie together. Like, yeah, I don't know. If the use of prawn for 3,500, you can hire very nice escorts instead. That is probably true. Silicon Bono has a PSVR because VLC 4.x was supposed to support VR headsets. What is VLC for? Is it Video LAN Client, or is it something else that is named as Video LAN Client? No, it gets use case for this headset, but hey, not big innovation over time at Apple. Big innovation over time. Again, I would not even call this the biggest. It is, other people innovated that. It existed for 20 years or even 25. Of course, it is a very high end, and probably with for sure some patents for transparent camera, display blending and whatnot, they sure find. Even though it is, everyone else was earlier Silicon Graphics and partners, and who knows over the years, even was there not even a Nintendo NES low quality headset thing, just saying, in the 80s or so. But Microsoft, Google, Sony, Valve, and so on and so forth, they are the last and the most expensive. Surely they find some ways to patent there, but yeah. I don't get used. I was there. It gives me movement sickness to play games with it. So yeah, I'm aware that John Carmack made big strides to make this as low latency as possible. I understand. I read some papers. I understand this. Of course, this is very low latency. So obviously, Apple with their M2 and R1 integration, I'm very sure that is a very, very, very lowest latency headset that probably should not give you much motion sickness. But yeah, Apple should stop their customers to stop wasting their money. No, they don't. They want their customers to waste their money. Obviously, they want to be billionaires. Nothing earphones are also not good a lot in terms of audio based on graphs. Well, the Nothing earphones sound amazing to me, just the microphone is not amazing. At least for, I didn't yet make a one-to-one, but at least the $99 first edition ear one for that price, certainly very outstanding. For $150, the $150 increased price of the Nothing Ear 2 kill it a little bit, but I wanted it for review and reference reasons. What do we have here? Microsoft Surface, big table, not seen long time those. Yeah, I mean, the Microsoft Surface Studio thing is also super overpriced. And even that I could see to sell to architects and stuff, right, and other designers. Maybe it sells a little bit. But as someone, who was it? Someone recently, was it Louis Rossmann? Someone I saw recently laughing about the price and not update. Was it? Oh no, it was probably Linus. I think it was Linus Sebastian from Linus Tech Tips. One show fame. Using a keyboard and mouse and turntable-like functionality, 3K sounds like that 1K stand previously. Yeah. Again, so yeah, that were the comments. Thanks for joining. I use this. So yeah, thanks for joining. I hope you enjoyed to learn something. Leave in the comments below. Like, if you watch this later, we will see in some years. It's like, yeah, it's also only selling last year, right? And that is the crazy stuff. Like, one last thing. It is effing expensive. It is. They are the last. And even they announced it now. Probably they announced it now because the whole world was already waiting for 5 years. And they are late and the last. And so they announced it now only to ship next year, right? 2024 ship. Do they not have a ship date? I think they said 2024. But yeah, what pixels do we have here? Was it 4K, 12 cameras containing 5 sensors? That has a glass front and an aluminum frame containing 5 sensors, 12 cameras, 4K display for each eye, and that's supposedly cooled with a fan. With a fan, they said there's something from passive, whatever. Maybe I missed the fan. Yeah, I don't know. The headset mask, which Apple dubs a light seal, and strap, which Apple dubs a headband, are close-lined and modular, can flex and fit. Yes, like, yeah, it's probably not as comfortable as you hope it would be. See you next time. And we will see in some years. We will see next year how the sales, and we will see the years later how the price develops. And we will see then, share, like, and subscribe for reviewing in some years how precise my prediction of success was for this Apple product.